Hey, entrepreneurs, fashion lovers, and wealth builders. Have you ever thought what some of the most iconic fashion brands use to stay afloat and thrive in a cutthroat fashion industry? And today I want to address the house of Gucci as well as Alexander McQueen, who applied, drumroll, a particular archetype or story heroine in their branding. And of course, you can do the same once you are in on the secrets, because there are 5 secrets I want to tell you today that Gucci and Alexander McQueen used to stay afloat when they almost went down, and then rebranded and now have become one of the some of the most iconic fashion brands, of course, that we know. So it's the archetype of the alchemist. And what is the alchemist? There are 8 archetypes, and the alchemist is the proverbial magician. They can almost wave the wand and create something magic. The alchemist, the name comes, of course, from the Middle Ages, when there were chemists. They discovered chemistry and they tried to create gold out of dirt. And so that carries on over today, and it's kind of instantly recognizable for humanity. Someone who is able to create great wealth out of seemingly nothing. Great artists amongst them, Pablo Picasso and many, many others who create, writers often, who create great wealth out of just an idea. But there's more to it, because everyone can have an idea, but how do you actually create the gold out of the dirt? Under the direction of Tom Ford and later Alexander McQueen, Gucci transformed itself from a stale, outdated brand on the brink of oblivion to one of the most iconic, modern, bold fashion houses that is known for its eccentricity, blending the old and the new in ways no one had done before. Well, what's the secret? Secret number 1 is reinvent with creativity, but bold creativity. So secret number 1 of the House of Gucci is: don't just take something and try and update it and run after the market, trying to kind of be relevant again. Instead, reinvent yourself with boldness completely. More about this in a second. Alexander McQueen, who worked with Givenchy and then later Gucci, has also the alchemist at the core of his brand, who had at his brand's core. And he did it slightly different. And that is through storytelling. He evoked emotions in his fashion design. And it wasn't just that he designed clothes, but he designed the viewer's emotions that came with the clothes. So how did he do that? Also through the alchemist's ability to transform something intangible, such as emotions, into something tangible, such as a fashion show. And so he wasn't just selling clothes, he was selling a vision, a story, and a feeling. And people were willing to pay top dollars for that experience. So he was creating emotional connections through storytelling. He wasn't just selling the product, which means clothing in his example, but not selling reality, but instead selling an emotion. So people don't just buy products. Remember that for your own business. People buy the emotions you evoke, that you create for them. Again, there's this magic element to it almost. Let's take a third example, and that's, of course, the famous Coco Chanel. And she actually would fit another archetype in her style. Almost classic, timeless, minimalist, much more the accumulator. But in her branding, how she survived she fits the alchemist. And that is, she persisted in the face of obstacles and where the reality gave her rejection after rejection, and she trusted her vision more than she trusted her reality. And this persistence in the face of adversity, because the person has a higher vision, and for them the vision that they create is more real than the reality. That is another trait of the alchemist. So persistence, not a foolish persistence, but a sure-footed persistence in the face of a vision that is higher than any reality or any naysayer may come and prevent you from your vision. So a wonderful trait of the alchemist. So secret number 3 is make your vision more real than the reality. Make reality catch up with the vision rather than the other way around. Alchemists are not typically builders. Instead, they create quantum leaps. For them, their vision is more real than actual reality, and they don't build step by step. They just know that the vision has already manifested. On the negative side, avoid that if you're an alchemist. They can be the perpetual dreamer because they get so caught up, like almost in a spider web of their vision, they lose reality. They lose kind of the moorings of reality, perhaps. And I'm not privy to the exact last days of Alexander McQueen, but perhaps that was part and parcel of his later tragedy in life. As much as he was a visionary who could create the vision, if you completely lose touch with your moorings in reality, it can be a downfall, or if you are just caught up in dreamland and never actually manifest these visions. And so that is why every story archetype or story heroine has an upside and a downside. But once you know the potential downside, you can either sidestep these blind spots or partner with someone, which is a very good way to, navigate blind spots or downsides, who is an opposite archetype or opposite story heroine who can balance you out on that. And back to Gucci, they mastered a technique that's best described as the Trojan horse. The biggest competitor with a hip, young, edgy street styles that Gucci, could not reach because Gucci was associated with stale, outdated, old, high luxury that young, hip fashionistas weren't interested in. So they literally went in and combined their classical style with the edgy style. They literally tapped into it and made it their own. It's like the Trojan horse. You go into the enemy's territory and you insert yourself and make it part and parcel of yourself. And that's another secret 5 or 6, depending on how you count it, of the alchemist. 1 + 1 never equals 2. So for instance, luxury plus street style doesn't equal 2. Luxury plus street style, as Gucci combined it, equals something totally different, or number 3, in a third that no one had seen before. The alchemist, like in the olden times, in medieval times, even today's chemist, you take one chemical element and you take another chemical element. The moment you combine it, you create something brand new. And if you're a chemist, I'm sure the water molecules, how they are combined from different elements, and then you create the new vision. The alchemist is a master in creating exactly that. And not only 1 + 1 is 3, but sometimes 1 + 1 is kind of amplified into a mega number that we no one had seen before. And that's another secret strategy you could use for your own purpose. What your brand, your business can not just piggyback into, but literally become a Trojan horse, and then create something brand new out of two styles or two ideas that already exist, but you apply the principle of 1 + 1 is 3. By the way, as we unpack the Alchemist here, some other archetypes or story heroines are creeping in. For instance, the 1 + 1 principle equals 3 is also part and parcel of the connector, because the connectors connect not necessarily ideas as the alchemist, but they connect with someone else, and they can create this kind of compound effect. Another one we mentioned on the side is the radical reinvention, which is actually the core of the maverick, and we'll talk more about the maverick, that go into directions no one else has done. So no archetype just purely operates on this one streak of their core principles. There's always a little bit of a secondary, let's say a secondary storyline that comes in, a secondary resonance of some of the other alchemists or story heroines. And that is important to know, because you can tap into that and create much more complexity. And probably the final principle I want to address for the alchemist is how Alexander McQueen transgressed boundaries. That actually is also a principle of the maverick we come to next time. But the way he addressed it is he once again combined. He combined different arts. And so fashion in his house was not just fashion, it became performance art. It became theater, fashion, theater, something so jaw-dropping no one else had seen before. So he combined fashion and the arts, fashion and the theater, fashion and creating enchanting performances for his audience that went far beyond the fashion that he had created, and turned into something else altogether. Also technology. There was one of his last shows, Plato's Atlantis. He fused fashion with technology. This fusion is really at the core of the alchemist's transformation. The maverick will often break out of boundaries and leave the old behind to explore new territories and chart new ways to create things. The alchemist does it differently. Yes, they break out of the old, but they do so by combining the old and the new, by fusing new connections no one had ever thought about. And isn't that the core of creativity? When our brain creates new connections, that is when we spark creativity. And the alchemist is a master of that. And the alchemist can not only transform the brand or their business, they can transform society. They can almost create a utopia that seemed out of reach. They can weave dreams no one had dreamed of before and make them reality, tangible reality for everyone to participate. What a great archetype to contribute to society, to contribute to their clients while building their own brand, their business, and ultimately their wealth. Before I let you in on one last secret, the oldest archetype in recorded human history, be sure to subscribe, like, and wait for the link or the link underneath the video to take your own quiz and to get on the wait list for my upcoming program that was so far only available to private clients. And now I'm making this program available, how to utilize your story heroine, your archetype, to catapult your business to great heights. And the first known alchemist in history is actually Abraham from the Bible, because he followed a vision almost blindly, which gives probably the last principle I want to address of the alchemist. It's divine inspiration. It's not foolish dreamery and, tomfoolery that comes out of nowhere. No, the alchemist is able to transform divine inspiration, the voice of God, if you will, into reality to create riches and wealth that benefit themselves and society. Abraham, we are told, came out of Ur and was called out by God to explore and chart new lands. He had nothing to go by other than the inspiration and the belief in that vision, the unfaltering belief in that vision. There's one moment when Abraham is kind of down because reality was not what the call that was told him gave him hope for. Reality was not like that. And God said to him, lift up your eyes, because he was downcast. His eyes, his vision had fallen to the ground, to that stony reality that was anything but the vision that had been given him. And so he was called, lift up your eyes and look. Everything you can see, everything in your vision, everything you are capable of visioning, that I will give you. And then Abraham, of course, did. He set out and he became the richest man that the world had ever seen in at least his part of the known world at that time. So that's the alchemist. It's not foolishness, it's divine calling and a divine vision that others sometimes can't see, but you as an alchemist in your mind, in your vision, can see, and you not only follow it, but you believe that you can make it a reality, and then it is so. And with that, I leave you. I am also, just in case you want to know more about me, I worked in Hollywood for 30 years as a professor, teaching cinema, teaching screenwriting, working in the film industry. I had started and founded my own film school out in Palm Springs that helped international students get a hold of the Hollywood dream. And now I'm using this knowledge, that experience, and helping business owners such as you, because I've cracked the code, if you will, of the Hollywood machinery and have seen how Hollywood operates to become the most successful film industry ever. Yes, Bollywood, but Bollywood also uses similar principles, which I don't want to go into it right now, but Hollywood uses the story heroine and certain kind of other elements that make a blockbuster film, and you can as well for your brand. So I'll tell you more about this in other upcoming masterclasses, upcoming videos. But I'm honored to use my knowledge for entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs over 40, over 45. I have a great passion for that kind of business and how to re-envision it yourself and create your vision, your success. So sign up for my upcoming program to be on a wait list so you get in as one of the first to get a hold of this knowledge. Talk to you soon.